Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Self-Sewn Wardrobe. Maybe a podcast and a live broadcast. We'll see if I can get... We've had to change our workflow a little bit, so these haven't been made into podcasts for a little while. But just in case they ever are, welcome to the Self-Sewn Wardrobe podcast and live broadcast. And if you're watching... I actually made the mistake of not bringing my phone over here, but if you're watching on your phone and you click on the video, it'll bring up the description, and there's a little link that says, allow the app to view your name, and that allows me to see your name when you comment. So just in case you haven't done that, like Kim, you said hi, and I can see your name, so it's good to see you. And anyway, so if you're joining in, do that so I can see who's talking to me, because I love to see you all. Hi, Levi. Hi, Heather. The person who said yay, click your video up there. Look at the little link. It says, eCam Live wants to access your information. And, I mean, you're already on Facebook. Might as well just give up all the information. So just let it see your names that I can see you. Welcome to the Self-Sewn Wardrobe podcast and live broadcast. It's December 28th of 2018, so we are going to get ready for January of 2019. I'm really excited to work on this concept. It was a concept. It's not a garment, like a lot of our monthly themes are, t-shirts or whatever. And this coming month, we're going to talk about sewing space, okay? So, sewing space is, an interesting... Oh, hi, Rory. Okay, I can see that it was you. How you doing? Sewing space, I think it has the potential to be really helpful. I mean, possibly be very challenging, maybe sort of painful, I don't know. All sorts of things are possible in your sewing space exploration of when we go through this. So I want to talk about a couple of things that have come up in the group lately. We have a gigantic group, okay? We have 19,000 people. I believe that our group is about 2 years old. Yeah, a little over 2 years old. And, it started out with a really close group of people who knew us from the Self-Sewn Wardrobe podcast, from the Sewing Out Loud podcast. And, a lot of you are still in the group, Rory and Heather, and, there's Noah, and there's just all sorts of people who are, from way back in the beginning. And I think you all are really wonderful about keeping the tone, the way we want it to be. And so I want to thank our members who've been here for a long time and just know about all that, in order to keep the group really nice. And one thing that I think we all need to be careful about, I mean, myself included, and especially as we go into Sewing Space Month, okay, is, and I want to add, there we go, here we go, little text up here. All right, during our month of making sewing space, there will be no space/hobby shaming allowed. So what's going on here? Why am I bringing this up? What's happening? You need to be careful, and I need to be careful about this too. This is totally for me too. But have you ever had someone describe a problem to you, and you're like, psh, wish I had that problem, right? Okay. So this should be the glorious thing about the internet. Okay, this is how the internet should work. We're behind our screens, and so we should be like, oh, I just had my first reaction. Maybe it wouldn't be the nicest thing to say to someone's face. Oh, good. The person couldn't see me. I'll take my time to type something perhaps a little more thoughtful. Doesn't seem to be the way the internet works all of the time, but that's the way I would like our group to work. So if someone says, I have, trouble with my storing my fabric, and they show you a picture of their space. Let's pretend it's gigantic. They've got 10,000 square feet, but they've got trouble storing their fabric. And you're over here in your 120 square foot place, and you're thinking, well, wish I had that kind of space, then I wouldn't have that problem. I mean, fine. Think whatever you want. But please don't type these things, okay? It's rude. It's not nice. It's also a little short-sighted. And like I said, I'm not trying to take some kind of moral high ground here. I probably have, like, the bitchiest mind you ever did see, okay? So I say things, to myself sometimes that maybe are not for public consumption. But I think we need to be careful of this. I remember someone posted a while back, they said, I have a small space and it gets dirty really easily, like, or cluttered, or, whatever word they use. And then someone posted and they were like, well, big spaces get cluttered really easily too. It's like, well, okay. Everyone's going to be dealing with their own space, with their own issues, with their own, like, level of inherent organization that they have. I am not an organized person, naturally. I have a hard time keeping track of a lot of stuff. My mom, Zeddy, who's in the group and who we do the Sewing Out Loud podcast with, she has the ability to just, like, organize and catalog things, not only physically, but in her brain as well. And my husband and I were talking about this, because we'll be like, oh, we need a lamp or, like, a rug that is this big, and she'll be like, oh, I have one of those in the attic, and, like, she goes in the attic, looks disorganized maybe, or, like, just, like, there's a lot of stuff she just knows right where it is, can get it. So we're all going to be working with that. We're all going to have our own potential issues. And I know that sometimes we want to be helpful to people, but do try to keep in mind the original intent of the question when someone asks it in the group. And I think I've been guilty of this before too. And, I don't mean to tell people to, super edit themselves or anything like that, but like someone had posted, they said, I got this gigantic cutting mat for Christmas, and it's too big for my sewing space. Can I cut it down? And so a lot of people are like, yes, you can cut a cutting mat down. And yes, you may. You can cut it down. And I personally, I'll say that I said, I would try to clear out, try to make available to myself the largest cutting space I could get, and then cut my cutting mat down to that, just before you cut it, do that. I don't even know if I worded it that way. Maybe I should have. But, this person, they ended up closing comments because they got a few suggestions like, just make yourself a bigger cutting table, or return it or whatever. And they were like, well, got it online. It's a really big pain to return. So, this, I think, is going to be a time when we're going to have to be especially conscious of, like, answering the question. People are going to have different budgets. People are going to have different goals, etc. I mean, and I'll just say, it was, Zeddy and I have mentioned this on the podcast before. I listened to the Love to Sew podcast, and they were talking about cataloging their fabric stash. And each of the women on that podcast, they are pattern designers. They are, people who sew a lot of stuff. I mean, they've got a lot of things. And they were like, I have 78 pieces. And Mom and I were like, oh my God, like, we just have so much fabric, So our reaction to that is, oh my gosh, that's not as much fabric as we have, But our reaction wasn't like, well, who do you think you are? You only have 78 pieces of fabric. No, okay, like, I don't want to see someone post, I need help with my stash, and then someone else post, well, just be glad you don't have my stash, or something like that. Let's be helpful. Let's be insightful. Go say that to your friend, okay? Or something. But that's what we really need to be careful about here. It's like if someone were to say, I want to make this garment fit better, and someone's like, well, you should, not eat cookies or something. Like, that's the kind of crap that, we don't allow in our group. And it's happened before, and it's not okay. So it's just like, warning. If this happens in the group, I'll try to, let somebody know, hey, we don't allow this. And if you find it happening, I would love for you to gently remind the person, like, it's important to stay on topic, for the, the original poster's question, and it's important not to be shaming. I know that in the past that I have not realized sometimes that my language or that my thought about something could be shaming towards someone. It's blown my mind. I'm trying to think of like a particular moment. I mean, of course, no one likes to remember the unflattering things about themselves, but we all have them. And, try to be gentle with people who may do this because they may not be realizing it, and it could be a chance for them to learn. Okay? I know this sounds a little bit like I'm sort of admonishing people ahead of time, but, the internet and the way we communicate on it in these Facebook groups, it's kind of new. I mean, shoot, maybe I'm the Emily Post of Facebook groups. I don't know. So, just make sure that you are being considerate, kind, take your time, and I think it could be a really great way for us to learn from each other. So, SoHere.com is our business. It's what runs this group. It's me, it's my mom, it's Sam Bam, our editor, and we have something, we have a membership site, and if you join, you can, various membership levels have various perks, and we also sell patterns and classes on our sites, and one of the things we have is our Self-Sewn Wardrobe Planner. So each month I do one of these, okay? And I'm going to bring this up here. Okay. Oh, can I do it from here? Guys, I got this new software, and I'm learning it a little bit, but every time I do stuff, it's like exciting. All right. Let me get rid of, okay, we'll just, hold on a second. Let me get rid of this for a moment, and then we'll go back to my screen. And I'm just going to show you all the Sewing Space Planner a little bit. So here's the deal. If you've been interested in the Sewing Space Planner, you're like, oh, why would I want to join and be a member or something like that? Check it out. Here we are in InDesign. There's just a few, fun illustrations in here. These are full-size pages, or you can print a booklet. Okay, at the bottom of each page, there we go. At the bottom of each page, you have this, computer's getting a little excited. You have this calendar area, okay, here, so you can say, oh, I'm, filling in this page on this date. You can number it as well. And then we go on to a little bit of a reflection on our sewing space here. So let's see if Mallory can zoom out. Let's see if Mallory knows how to use InDesign. Kind of. Okay, so we're talking about sewing space. We're talking about sewing storage. We're going to reflect on what's stored well. Okay, we're going to talk about containers. We're going to talk about furniture. We're going to talk about all of that. And sometimes, you're like, oh, what's the deal? Like, do I need to be reflecting on all of this? And I think it can be helpful. So this month is all about sewing space. We talk. Some of you may have challenges in some areas, and others of you may not have these same challenges. So I've got those all listed out here. And then there's some blank sewing space challenge pages if you want to print those out, okay? And then we have our sewing space. Look at that, the fabric frontier. I think I'm really clever though. All right, in January, I will be going live every day to spend some time in our sewing space. I probably won't every day use this software. I'll probably just use my phone some of the time, okay? And this planner includes a little journal for you to record what you do every day. So, you don't have to, use this, obviously. You can, write it down in your own, thing. Oh, do I not have day 31? Oh, there it is. Okay, good. So, we did this last year. I think we did it in February of last year, okay? Rory, yes, every day. Live a little bit every day. Maybe it's not going to be like a 40-minute live, like sometimes I get into or things like that. But that is what I will be doing. So I'll be going live every day. Maybe a little bit of just saying this is what I'm doing or getting into that. So why am I going live every day? Like, what's the deal? Why would I be doing this? Part of the reason is I think the planner is a lot of fun. Love planners. I love listening to podcasts. I love doing all sorts of things. But what you really need to do if you want to improve your sewing space, or you want to improve your, like, relationship with your sewing space, sort of, is you got to get in there. You got to get going and doing something, okay? You have to get in there. And so that's why I'm going to encourage you to get into your sewing space every day. So last year in February, we chose the short month, okay? We chose the 28-day month, where we, said, can you sew every day? And people were like, well, does cutting count as sewing, or does organizing my space count as sewing? And, as I published in a blog post that I shared recently, the rules for our challenges, I don't know if I'd call them lax, but they're just not, stuffy. They are supposed to be inclusive of any positive momentum you can get. Like, I would never say, oh no, your scarf doesn't count as outerwear, you gotta make a coat. Psh, not my kind of thing, okay? And you don't have to participate. You don't have to do the things. I'm not like counting everyone's posts or something like that, okay? So if you get in your sewing space and you do just something for 2 minutes, you would be surprised how much that can stack up. And I wrote about that in my blog post about finding sewing time, okay? Finding time to sew, finding time to finish projects that can be challenging for us all. And I wrote about my silk boucle jacket that I did, and that was a project that I needed. I ended up needing, 6 hours, to like finish that. But, I don't ever, at this point in my life, get 6 hours to sew. And in fact, for me personally, I don't think I like to do anything for 6 hours. That's just me personally. Some of you might be like, oh, but fantasy, that is what I would love to have is, 6 hours. I kind of need to like do other stuff. I sort of like to I don't know, I need to go on a walk or something, okay? So, anyway, what I did for that jacket was I went into the sewing room, just in 10 to 30, 40-minute chunks. They were dependent on, kind of when my kids woke up, or, when I woke up, or something like that, Fred Berry likes to sleep for 6 hours. I'm an 8-hour girl. God, I love to sleep. Just love it so much. Love sleeping. Anyway, so yes, I'll do that for 6 hours straight. So, those small chunks of time, if you need to organize, or if you need to something or other, if you can do that in little chunks, you might be surprised what you can get done. It also might surprise you if you're someone who has trouble finding time for your sewing space at all, whether it's for cutting or sewing or organizing or whatever, just getting in there might help you to sort of, heal that relationship a little bit, or just make it a little bit more productive, so you can know, okay, if I get in there, it's worth my time to go in there for 2 minutes. Maybe you're on your phone and you're scrolling on Facebook and you're like, oh, it's not, I don't have enough time to get in my sewing space and do something. Well, if you got a little bump, maybe in the form of a challenge where you're supported by all of your sewing BFFs, and you're like, oh, I gotta just get in there today, no matter what, no matter if I move some straight pins around or something, you might be surprised at what you get into. This is coming from me personally, okay? ZD, and maybe we should record a podcast on this where we sort of ask each other questions about our working habits and stuff. ZD and I are really different in that way. I can be a procrastinator, or I can really kind of let things paralyze me a little bit, and she's not like that. And anyway, so forcing myself to get up here on a day when I feel overwhelmed by other things can be a challenge for me. Or a day when I'm like, gosh, I just wish I could have 3 hours up here, then I'd get the thing done, And, for me right now, that's not possible. Now, this might be different for everyone, and I'll be talking from my point of view. And I don't know if any of you like to listen to the podcast, A Slob Comes Clean, but I have discovered that podcast recently, and it's been really wonderful. The author of the blog and the podcast host. Her name is Dana White, and she is from Texas, and our lives are pretty different, and I can tell we kind of have some things in our worldviews that are different from one another, and then some things that are the same, but what we have in common. She calls herself a slob, and for me, I'm just not sort of an inherently organized person, and some of her tips have just been really helpful to me. So anyway, what she brings up, though, that I think is really valid, is that we'll all have different relationships with our spaces. How neat we keep them. How much of a challenge we find that in the first place. You know, some people are fine with working in unorganized spaces. Some people are fine with working, you know, in a space where another project is going, da-da-da-da-da. And that's where, you know, I just want to bring up that sort of hobby shaming or space shaming or habit shaming or whatever. You know, make sure that you're not saying to someone, you know, the way you work, the way your brain works, the way your habits are, I think are immature or silly or stupid, okay? I really want to make sure that we're, you know, supportive of one another. I don't think it's wrong for somebody to say, hey, look at my space, I'm getting these jeans done, you know, and for someone to say, oh, it's hard for me to work like that or whatever, but, you know, just think about it a little bit before you post. And I'll be asking questions like this in the group too. You know, do you work best when you're all organized? Do you work best when you know, just all the creative juices are flowing and it doesn't matter? How much time do you get in your space? You know, a lot of people are like, Mallory, why can't you find the time? You know, well, I have to do a lot of things for this business that are not sewing, and that can get in the way of sewing or things like that. You know, I also have 2 little kids, but everyone's situation is different. So I think hearing about different people's like actual lives is actually really helpful, because you might find someone who's got a similar situation to you and will have this tip that they don't even think is special. But when you hear it, something's really going to click into place for you, you know? So yeah, just keep that in mind. And I gave a little preview of the planner, okay, for this month earlier. So in case you didn't see that, you can watch that in the rebroadcast here. And yeah, that is available. So if you are a Zigzag member, okay, that is in your profile right now. So you can go to sewhere.com/profile and you can download that. If you are a just, you know, a member of sewhere.com, you're going to get the zine. If you want to just buy the planner, and this is what I'm trying to do right now, is just add this link in here. How do I do that? Oh, here we go. So if you're a Zigzag member, make sure to go to sewhere.com/profile. If you are not, you can go to sewhere.com/planner and check that out. You know, it's a PDF download. It's $9.99. And what this is going to do is just go toward supporting the cost of maintaining the group. And the admin, you know, the lives, the videos that we do. And if you are a Zigzag member, you also get access to our live broadcasts that we do every month, where ZD and I do like a sewing class every month. And yesterday's was so fun. We used our new tools of pre-recorded video to show you some serger techniques, and that was really, really, really cool. So anyway, you can check that out by going to sewhere.com/membership. There's just all sorts of fun things at sewhere.com. So yeah, getting ready for the month of making sewing space. I'll be going live every day, which is, you know, kind of crazy. I'll write a little blog post about that. But it's a time for you to pay attention to your sewing space. And I guess I could theme it, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I like saying like, let's look through our needles today or whatever. Maybe I'll just do that like for me, you know. You all can do whatever you want, okay? I don't like to be told what to do too much in my life, so which might be why I'm kind of a messy person, okay? So keep that in mind, everybody. I'm not sure what time I will go live either every day. I think I'll do some scheduled ones like this, but other times during the day, you know, I might just be like, okay, well, today it's at 1 and tomorrow it's at 9 and the other day it's at 3 and da-da-da-da-da. And, my schedule may change a little bit. So I gotta get ready for that, though. It's the 28th, so I've got 3 more days of freedom before I have to start going live every day. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. And keep a lookout for the zine in your profiles. It'll be there in the next few days. And I will get working on all this stuff for you. And I can't wait to go live every day and see your sewing spaces. I can't wait to see the pictures, hear about the challenges, and then everyone's going to remember to be nice to everyone else and to not inadvertently shame someone for their habits or their problems. Like, it can be easy to do. Like, I've done in the past. So, anyway. All right, everybody. Have a lovely day. Get something sewn today. And I will see you in 4 days. Happy New Year.